cycle of human perspective.
Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you so much for joining. It's the Friday Night Love stream. We'll be taking your calls. It was 105 here in Tulsa today. I don't know how hot it got where you're at, but wow, I hope you're staying frosty out there. I did have an announcement to make. I was talking to Debbie Solaris earlier through email, and she's going to be coming back on the show. I did put her link below in case you didn't see when she was on. She's the Galactic Historian. But she's going to be offering, we're not sure how we're going to do it or whatever, but it'll be a free Akashic reading whenever she does come back on. We still got to schedule that, but it'll be soon, probably within a week or so. So make sure you subscribe to her channel, and so you'll be ready for all of that. It's she just got her channel going since she was on last, and she has some of her readings available on her channel, which is super duper interesting. Let's see. Oh, I thought I wasn't going there for a second. Okay, so welcome. I have Pyrrha on the line. She's going to be the first caller. Let me make sure she is unmuted. Pyrrha, where are you calling from?
I am calling from a very little town in North Carolina, pretty close to Pilot Mountain. We kind of talked a little bit prior to this, but Pilot Mountain is actually an extremely strong vortex, and I live in between two ley lines right by the vortex. So kind of a cool location.
Yeah, definitely. And that's North Carolina, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I wanted to type it in here, so North Carolina. That way it's on the screen, and because people ask in the chat, they're like, who is this? Who is this?
Yeah.
Plus, sometimes I like to go back and, when there's something interesting in a call, I like to scan back through and find the caller pretty easily, and this makes it pretty easy. Plus, if you wanted to come back to it or something. So anyway, you had a really cool story, but you can just give us sort of a background at, how you kind of got into this point.
Okay. Well, I've pretty much always been awake to some degree. For as long as I can remember back, I've always remembered the end of my last life and how I died. I've always had precognitive dreams. Through my teens, I had out-of-body experiences, and I've always heard frequency, although up until the last couple of years, it was always before it would rain. I would hear this tone, and I would call it my rain sound, and I knew, within a handful of hours that it would rain, and I could tell by how loud it was or how long it lasted, how big of a storm would be coming. But
wow.
Since I've moved here to this location, everything's changed, and I get frequency downloads so often now that I can't even tell when it's going to rain anymore. So that's pretty cool. Let's
And it has to do with the high energy area you're at?
I think so, yeah. I live on this giant granite boulder, and like I said, I'm in between two ley lines, just a few miles southwest of the Vortex Center. And then I have one of the oldest rivers in the world, actually, that's about a half a mile below me. And so it's just such a high power energy area. It's crazy. And people don't know about it because it's so rural out here, and, kind of the southern mentality where, people don't understand or really know about areas like this. So it's taken a lot of research to figure it all out. But I was actually led here. I followed, sounds crazy, but let me just start where everything started. In 2012, I met my twin flame, and about 25 days later, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and she was gone 2 months later. And I had this crazy experience where I was at this little Native American shop, and they had all this jewelry and things around, and I wasn't really even shopping and didn't think that I could afford it anyway, but it was like all of a sudden I got this tunnel vision, and everything around me went dark, and all I could focus on was this dragonfly pendant, and it was like I got this feeling like I knew I had to have it. I felt like for some reason my mom was right there with me and telling me, I need to have it. It'll be okay. I can get it. And, so I did. And I, was kind of thrown back by the whole experience, but I had no idea, what it meant. And then a few months later, I actually was diagnosed myself with breast cancer. And I did the first thing that everybody does when they get sick. I went online and did all this research, and I found out that the dragonfly is kind of the totem for breast cancer survivors or people who are fighting.
Oh,
and
wow.
then it all kind of made sense to me that, this is a sign from my mom that, she was going to be with me. She was going to be by my side. And, the dragonfly became really important to me. So after that, it was all done, and I got done with my treatment, and I was healthy. I decided to come back to where my partner is, and we were looking for different places for me to move. We both work from home in different places, so we moved close to each other, but I got my own spot here. And I've never lived in the middle of nowhere like I do here, and it was a really scary thing, but, I'd follow the dragonfly everywhere, and it led me through my whole healing, and it appeared everywhere through my treatment, and, the signs were all there. So when I got here, I'm like, if I see a sign, I'm going to know I'm supposed to be here. And I looked at the place, and it looked cute, but I was really nervous, and right before I got into my car, all of these dragonflies came. So I knew that I was meant to be here, but I knew nothing about the area. And it was only, after I moved in, I had some crazy experiences start and did the research and found out that it's like this crazy vortex. So I was meant to be here, and I was meant to have these awakening experiences.
That is so wild. Were you watching recently somebody, maybe it was Nathan, had a picture of a dragonfly. Somebody recently, and it made me think of you, that they had a dragonfly in their message. Did you happen to catch the last broadcast with Sam by any chance?
I'm not sure if I did catch the last one, but I might have been listening and maybe not watching so much. I do that a lot.
Right, yeah, me too.
I've always got you on in the background, through my day while I'm working. But, I didn't see it, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's something for everyone else to be looking out for, too. And I'd love to have people chime in on whether they've had sort of dragonfly sort of synchronistic things happen like that. And so you didn't find out about the energy and all of that until you got there. That's amazing. So you were led there by the dragonflies. Now, has it changed having this energy? Because, I've always wanted to travel somewhere. Because they talk about, like, the pyramids or, the Sedona and different places that have these ley lines. And I just wonder, is your, like, meditation experience any different?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I actually, until I moved here and all of these crazy things started happening, I never really meditated. And, in fact, when I had my Kundalini awakening, which, by the way, is so different from anyone else's experience that I've heard lately. It was, I guess you could call it meditating. I had decided to sit down and focus on gratitude and really put the emotions behind what I was feeling for each instance. And so I sat down on my bed and I sat cross-legged and kind of, let my mind go a little bit blank, and then I started thinking about all of the things that I was grateful for and really feeling it. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, this energy, I don't know how else to explain it, this pure white light energy, I could see it, I could feel it, it was a part of me, came up through my stomach, out through the top of my head, and I knew that it was shining out to source, to the universe, to everyone, to everything. And, instantly in that moment, I knew what my purpose was as a light worker, why I was brought to this area. Mm-hmm. And the coolest part was it then came back down kind of in a circular motion up through my root chakra and then back out my head. So it ended up being this like cyclical pattern of energy that I was sending out and that was coming back in. And it was like the best drug you could ever imagine. It was just pure bliss, pure happiness, being in contact with Source like that, and knowing not only why I'm here, but why, many of us are here. And it's to send, that energy out to everyone and everything everywhere, and that it'll come back to us. So yeah, I would say it's definitely had some interesting effects being here in meditation.
That's amazing. That's one of those things that, and we'll get into this more with Magenta Pixie on Monday, but a lot of times, we want to remember things. We want to just have this conscious memory of why we're here and everything. But for many of us, we just have this knowing, and we can't really explain it. We just know there's something that we're supposed to be doing here, and it's strange the way that knowing really affects me quite a bit in life. It's just, I don't know how, I just know. And it's not good enough for other people, when you tell other people, because they're like, what do you mean you just know? How do you just know?
Right.
But it's powerful.
Your helpers.
Yeah.
It's your helpers. They're with me as well, and I call it the knowing as well. And it's like, you as soon as you ask yourself that question, it just pops into your head, and you know.
Yeah.
And it's them, whispering it to you, or however you want to think of it, but they're there helping you. So that's awesome that you have that too.
Yeah. And like I said, it's like, I always want more. I wish I could consciously know things like the plan, but it is nice. I mean, it would be better than nothing, just sort of fumbling around in the dark, because
it all happens at the rate that it's supposed to. That's the thing. There are no mistakes in this big thing that's happening, and we just have to have faith that it's going to come to us as we're ready.
Yeah, and you know what? It's actually getting to the point now where it's like I have such a trust that things are going as they are supposed to go, that it's almost sort of a relief that I don't have to be bothered with the details. And that's sort of what I've been getting. It's like, you don't have to be bothered with the details. We got all that. Just trust that you're being led, and, be in the moment and pay attention and get those signs and synchronicities and stuff. So,
right.
So let's move on to some of your other experiences you've had. You've had some out-of-body experiences, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have here. I did when I was a teen, more so than the out-of-body here. Mm-hmm. But it kind of freaked me out. When I was younger, I wasn't sure what was happening or if I was able to get back. And there was still that knowing about the silver cord, but, it was like something was whispering that to me, that I would be okay. But I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't trust myself at that age, or I didn't, trust the experience or what it was. So I wish I would have followed up with that and, kept up with it, because who knows where I could go now. But now it's more, setting the intention before you go to sleep. And, I'll say, I want to go to Egypt and I want to see the pyramids. And, I may not quite get there. In fact, one time, that's where I wanted to go. And I remember I was definitely in Egypt when I arrived, but it was more like on the edge of some industrial town or something. And there was kind of a sandstorm, and I was like, this is not where I want to be. And so, I woke myself back up, and, so I mean, it's not always easy to get to where you want to go, but you can get close. At least that's where I'm at this point.
I totally get that. Yeah, that's wild. So you had some other things we were going to discuss too.
One of the other crazy things was it was the end of April until end of June. So in about two and a half months, I had 17 rainbows in the exact same location here. It was, 2 to 3 days a week, where it would just be like, I knew it was coming, I could feel it come, and then all of a sudden, there they were. And I posted all of them, but the last 2 or 3 on my personal Facebook page, only because the smartphone or dumb phone or whatever you want to call it that I had at the time that I was taking pictures on and filming on, it kind of crapped out on me. So I didn't have the last couple on film. But, yeah, I mean, what a gift. I've been given gifts left and right here. It's like the universe is just, giving me all these wonderful things. It taught me to see energy. I can see energy. It started with daytime energy, and now I can see it at night. Something
wow.
called I think it's called the diamond. What's it called? Like the diamond shower, diamond energy shower, or something like that.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, the energy is so strong here, and I've heard of other people, learning or being able to see it, but when you can see that falling, it's like light snow. I don't know how else to explain it, but
Oh,
I can pretty much
wow.
see it just about any time. It's beautiful, and
Did you happen to read the Celestine prophecies at all?
yeah, a long time ago.
Oh, okay. That's what that sort of reminded me of when the guy had gone to that garden place or whatever it was, and he learned to see the energies and stuff. Sort
Yeah,
of.
by putting his fingers, kind of like
Oh,
moving his
right.
fingers together. Or
Yeah,
yeah, I
exactly.
remember doing that when I read the book the first time. Did you do it when you read it?
Yeah. Well, I was actually listening along, and I was at my computer. I didn't really see anything. I think maybe it's an out in nature sort of thing, but
Gotcha.
who
Yeah, I
knows?
can see stuff like that pretty readily.
That's
I've got
cool.
some Lumerian crystals that, kind of depending on the Schumann resonance and how things are kicking up around, you can actually see the energy coming off of them at night. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
so in tune with it, and I think that's one of the reasons my helpers kind of gave me the name Pyrrha. And part of it is, I've been so drawn to this whole energy thing, and there's something to it with me, whether it's the orgon or the chi or the scalar or there's the prana. There's a million names for the same energy, but it's
Hmm.
so important in all of this that's happening. And so for whatever reason, I know that it's a part of my gifts and what I'm supposed to be doing with it, and I've just got to figure out how to harness a little better, or figure out what they want me to do with it, or I'm
Right.
still figuring things out.
I think we all are. So can you see auras by any chance?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially I'm kind of an empath, but I'm the type of empath that it's usually with people that I'm closer with, and
Hmm.
it's kind of the same thing with people that I know, especially with my partner. We'll be together, hanging out, and all of a sudden I'll just, really be able to see his aura and what's going on with it. It's nothing ever intended. I can't just like look at anyone and say, I want to see your aura, and there it'll be. But that may come.
Right. I'm sure that's how it starts because you just have
Yeah,
that connection, like a mother and child, like the way a mom can tell their child's in danger and things like that. There is that connection with people that you're around because you sort of recognize their frequency or their vibration. So
right.
there's that attachment. But I can imagine that's going to be expanding, or
I
maybe
hope
we're going to
so.
be more in tune as this unity wave comes through and we all become more similar. I would think that we would be able to, that's probably why we can't do telepathy and stuff, is because we're all in such different frequencies and stuff. But as we
Yeah.
unify, I can definitely see us all sort of, we'll just know what the other person's like me and my wife, we've been together so long that we just know what each other's thinking a lot of the time.
Right, right. It's the same way with my partner. I mean, we're the craziest couple. We've been together for about 6 years now, and we've still never been to a movie together or done any of those things because when we're together, it's such magic. I just don't even know how else to explain it. And we'll spend hours together without speaking, but we're having conversations by just looking